Hey guys, how you doing? It's Kevtech here bringing another video on information technology. I hope you're having a good day. Happy Sunday. And today I want to go over printers. I did a video on hardware. I didn't do a video on software for printers. Obviously, if you're new to my channel, I do IT videos, do desktop support videos, so about how to get into IT. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you know when I go live, okay? Greatly appreciate it. So I went over hardware before. I have a video on that. It has over 1,000 something views with hardware. Today I want to go over software. As a person that works in IT, people that work in IT overall in general, we don't like printers. The thought of me going over printers kind of scares me because I don't like going over printers. We do not like printers. All right, that's like our worst enemy. But I have to make a video on this because you're gonna be dealing with printers in your job. All jokes aside, you're gonna be dealing with printers in your job, and you have to know how to fix it. You can't avoid it. No matter what, you can't avoid it. You're gonna be dealing with something that has to do with a printer in your job, whether it's dealing with a vendor, whether it's you actually troubleshooting a user trying to print or something else. So I have to go over it because I have to do it because it's something that you're going to encounter as a help desk and IT support person. All right. So let me share my screen with you real quick. Give me a second. Just bear with me. All right. So troubleshooting printers and hardware software. Common issues. So for hardware, and I have a video on this, by the way, so I'll leave it below in the description. Common issues for hardware is you're going to get paper jams. You got clear paper jams. The sensor is not finding the jam. So sometimes you have an issue where there's a little piece of paper stuck on the printer and you have to clear that out in order for the printer to start printing again. So literally there's like a little tiny bit piece of paper stuck on there and then the printer cannot print. Other issues is we have a corrupt file. So if someone sends you a PDF and that PDF is corrupted, you get a bunch of like gibberish on the paper that's starting to print. So you get I'll show you. Let me show you a screen of it. So corrupted print job, corrupt print job. Corrupt print job letters. See if I could find something. If I find something. There we go. Well, actually, no, that's not it. I can't find anything on it. Okay, so I can't really show you it, but basically it looks like a bunch of letters and numbers, and it has smiley faces and stuff like that. That's because it's a corrupted print job. So usually it's affiliated with the file, or that's affiliated with a bad driver on a computer of a user that has a computer and it prints a bunch of gibberish. So that's another thing you're going to encounter. You're going to encounter low toner, so maybe you have to replace the toner. So a lot of people that work in IT, you have to physically go in there, open up the printer. It might be the front, might be the side, might be the back. You know, it depends on the printer. And then you just open it up and replace the toner. Invalid print size. What does that mean? Is when you go to the printer settings, you try to print a document, it actually prints the incorrect size and the incorrect format and lettering, if that makes sense. And then some companies have maintenance kits. So you have your maintenance kit. If you have a printer that's not doing what it's supposed to do, you will use a maintenance kit. And how does that look like? I'll show you right now how that looks like. Give me a second. So we're going to do maintenance kit, and every printer is different, but they look similar. You'll deal with HP. Usually they have this. So you have the pickup rollers. This is we're gonna have a fuser assembly, the pickup rollers, and you can have the other rollers that go in the front and the back of the printer. So basically, you're gonna have to deal with this if you're help desk or IT support and you're doing printers and you're doing break and fix like what I do. Then you might have to do this. You might have to literally open up that printer, change the parts in it, and then it should be good to go after that. You have to reset the print pages. So like the every printer has a certain amount of pages that it prints per day. And there's a counter. So it has a counter. So it says pages print on this printer are 5,000 pages. So you have to reset that to 0 again once you put the maintenance kit inside of it. So it's really interesting stuff. Then you have you can grab paper. Like I said, that's the pickup roller. So you have the rollers that pick up the rollers. And then basically you fix that and paper could pick up again. Once again, it could pick up. You have to fix and replace the pickup rollers, is what I went over. And then the fuser assembly. So sometimes you have where the piece of paper, like, let me grab my paper and show you. So sometimes you have where, let me stop sharing for a second. So sometimes you have like the paper on the printer where it's like smudges on it. It's like smudges on it. You put your hand on it and the smudges on it is because of the fuser assembly. So if you have a fuser assembly and that fuser assembly is not working properly, it's supposed to heat the paper. So then the ink and the jobs and everything gets printed on the paper. So if it doesn't do that, and you put your hand on it and there's smudges on the paper, and that's because your fuser assembly might be going bad. So you have to replace the fuser assembly on a printer. That it creates a positive and negative charge. It's in charge of that. So I have my printer down here, so I'm like crawling down here and going over it. So yeah, so that's why it has a positive and negative charge. So you might have to replace that. And how does that look like? I'll show you how it looks like right now, just for you guys that are new to IT. So fuser assembly. Let me show you a quick screenshot of that. Just give me a second. So yeah, it looks like this. So you have different ones, but you literally like the paper will be let me share my screen again with you. Sorry about that. So literally the paper would do like smudges, and it's because your fuser assembly probably needs to be replaced. So, and it's because this stopped working for some reason. So then your paper or the job, whatever you're doing, whatever you're printing, is not working anymore because this is not working anymore. It's in charge of heating the paper. If you do CompTIA A+ studying, this actually is covered in the book, by the way. If you do any type of help desk or IT support, you might encounter this in your job. So just wanted to go over it. So now let's go over the software part of it, because I covered the hardware part of it. I have a video on this, by the way, more in depth. So just watch that video when you have a chance. It's really important if you're IT help desk or desktop support. I have a video. I'm gonna put it below in the description. Okay. All right. Software, it's a lot of issues. Software could be drivers. It could be a print job stuck in the queue. You cannot find the printer. When you're on VPN, because I have a video on Cisco AnyConnect. So if you're on VPN and for some reason the printer cannot be found, it's probably your VPN. It's either your VPN or it's not your VPN. So you have to make sure that your VPN is set up properly to print these jobs. So a lot of these people that work in these companies, like I work in a hedge fund, they have VPN, and then you should be able to add the printer while being on VPN. But some companies might have it blocked, and some companies might allow it for security reasons. They might have it blocked. You don't know. Every company is different. So for VPN, and if your job does do that, you have to make sure that the traffic is set up correctly on VPN by your network admin team. So someone in your network admin team has to actually configure it or set it up so that a person could print from that, from that environment, whether they're working from home or they're trying to add the printer when they're in some sort of meeting or some sort of conference meeting or something like that. They're probably traveling or something. They're trying to add a printer that's in that office. You don't know. So you have to make sure that's set up properly. And that's pretty much it for that. So then common other issues for printers is I'll show you right now, HP print install code. So you have different types of setup. So for example, like my setup is it's an authentication setup. So when you add a printer, it actually gives you a code. So you have to have a code in order to add the printer. And I can't show you here, I can't find it, but literally for some HP printers, it asks for a code, and basically you add the code and you're able to actually add the printer. So some companies have that, and I'm going to show you different techniques and different ways right now on what you're going to be doing if you're trying to add a printer. So let me minimize that for a second. I'll show you. Okay. So I am going to show you how to add a printer. So there are several ways to add a printer. So you could do printer and then hit printer and scanner, and then you hit the add button right here, and you can add a printer. The printer will show up if it's set up. So if you're on the right network, if it's on the right network, so obviously you have to know about networking. So if you're on the right network with printing, then you could add the printer right away. See, my printer's right here. It's offline right now. I'm actually going to turn it on right now and show you what's going on with this. So I'll turn it on later. That's fine. So you see here, you add the printer. This is the one way to do it. The other way is the old classic Windows 7 way. So basically you go into the start menu, you type control panel, drag it to the right, you hit view devices and printers. And then when you do that, it has it right here. And then you could do add a device. So if you have added device to this PC, if it's discoverable, you can add it automatically. So sometimes you'll do this, and then you click the printer, and you hit next, and add it. Obviously, if you cannot do that, then you do add a printer. You do printer might show up. If it doesn't show up, you do printer wasn't listed, and you do my printer's a little older and help me find it. So you could do that. You do stop, and go back. Or some companies might have a share drive or a share path directory to add a printer. So you just browse to it if they have a company computer or company laptop, and you just hit OK and you add it that way. The other way is using TCP/IP, which is you find out what the IP address of your printer is. You put it in here. You hit next, next, next. And you could just say like TCP/IP and you put the IP right here. The other way is if it's Bluetooth or wireless, you add it right over here. And those are several ways to do it. And then the way that I do it for printers is TCP/IP. And sometimes you might not be able to do it this way. You might have to actually do local printer or network printer with manual settings, and then you have to create a port and actually add the printer this way in order for it to work. So you click create an existing port or local port. You put TCP/IP. You hit next. You put the name of the printer. You hit next, next, next. So that might be something that you may come across, and that's pretty much it. So I want to show you more than that. I want to just talk about it. So what I have here, let me go to my downloads. Let me see if I could find my downloads. So there is so here we went over printers at one point. So I have it right here. I want to show you what you're supposed to do with it. So there's this thing called CLJ M479. That's a driver for a printer that someone was having an issue trying to set up. I'm going to show you what to do with it. So basically what you do is you go to the file location, you double click on it. Obviously you run as admin in your job. If you're doing Helpdesk or IT support, you run as a different user. You open it up and you hit run and you hit yes. And then it's going to start extracting the files. And then when you do that, the file should be somewhere on your computer, and then you basically go to that file and you're good to go after that. So on my computer, I have the HP file right over here. So I have two different ones. So how do you add the drivers? Like this doesn't look right. How do you add a driver? So you have to know about adding printers. If you don't know how to do that, I'm going to show you right now how to do that. So you go into control panel, you go into view devices and printers. Say for example, it's a local printer plugged USB. So you'll have local printers and printers that are using IP address. So you have USB to USB printer cable, and it looks like this, right? It looks exactly like this. So you plug the back of it to that printer, and then the other end goes to the computer. So then what you do is you have to go here and try to add it here through USB. How do you do that? So you go into add a printer. Printer wasn't listed. See where we went over local printer and network settings? I did that earlier. So you hit next. And then here, you make it into a USB port. So you have existing port, you have local port, and here you pick one of these. Usually what I like to pick is a LTP port. And then what you do is you click HP and you click have a disk. So that location where we extracted all those files. So I'm gonna, not to confuse, I'm gonna go all the way to the beginning. And if you do this PC and you do local disk, and that HP thing is right here, see? And you double click on it, and it's called .inf. So you have to grab a file as .inf. It doesn't know what that is. So you click here, and then you have it right here. So there's always going to be x64, x86 because your operating system runs on x64 bit. So maybe you have a computer that's a little old and it's running x86. So it's giving you two different drivers. You just got to select the right one, the appropriate one, and then you have the scan option right over here. So if you want to actually give them the scan capability, you would do that. So you have a bunch of different ones. Like this is HP Win USB. You hit open, you hit OK, and it has this. This has the HP driver now. So now you have the drivers. You hit next, and you install it. And then when you install it, it should just show up right over here. And that's it. That's pretty much it. For printers, common issues, obviously you can't print. It's not going to work. Printer's right here now. And then you go here. And this is what I usually do. I tell people to do this. Like when you're IT and you're new and you want to test it for someone, you have the option for every computer on Windows, and you right click on it, hit printer properties, you have the option to print test page. So you could do that. You print a test page here, and then it sends a test page to their house or wherever they are trying to print, if that makes sense. And then you can set it as default. So if you want to set it as default. You just right click on it and do set as default printer, and you're good to go after that. And other things that you might encounter in your job is the paper is stuck, and the print queue is stuck. So you have this thing, see what's printing. So you click here and you hit restart, reset, or cancel job. If something is being printed, you do it that way. That's the right way to do it, if that makes sense. The other way is doing it through services. So if you go on your start menu, and if you're help desk and you're trying to help somebody, you do open file location, you do run as admin, you open this up and you hit print, and then you hit print Spooner, and you hit stop and run, and then that might fix the printer, because the printer might be stuck on something. You don't know. It might be hung up for some weird reason. So you have to fix it this way. So you hit stop, and when you do that, it's gonna stop every job, and then you hit start, and then it should be good after that, and that might fix the issue. Another thing you might encounter is basically when you right click on the printer properties, maybe the IP changed recently, you don't know. So you may have to go here on the printer, you hit add port, TCP IP standard, and you create a new port. And you just change the name of the IP address, or change the number, of the IP address. And then you hit the port name, you call it whatever you want, you hit next, and then the printer shows up back online again. Sometimes it goes offline. So it's grayed out like the one on the left. So if you see the one on the left, it's gray. This is my printer at home. So this is grayed out right now because it's not on right now. Another thing you might want to do is have them shut off the printer and turn it back on, and then try to have them print again. And that might fix that problem. So sometimes restarting a printer will resolve the issue. About maybe 80% of the time. I'm not going to say 100% of the time, because sometimes it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So what else you can do here? You could do printer properties. You could do sharing. So if you want to share this on the network, you could do that. So when you share it on the network, it becomes discoverable for everyone else, and they could click on it and add that printer. And you have your advanced settings right here. This is what I'm talking about, like the drivers. Like you might have a corrupt driver in that printer, and you might have to change the driver in order to fix it, in order to resolve it. So stuff like that might happen, and you don't know, it could happen. And then there's a security, this is managed by your IT administrator, obviously, so you don't got to worry about that. And then sometimes you have the issue where duplex printing is not installed, or it needs to be enabled, and you just enabled it. You hit install, you hit apply, and you hit OK. And duplex printing allows you to print both sides of the paper, and that's basically what it is. So sometimes you get a request like that. Oh, I have an HP LaserJet, Kevin. I can't print for some reason. I can't print two sides for some reason. Where's the setting for that? And you got to go in here and you got to enable it. So that does happen. So then what happens is when they try to print a PDF, let me get one of my PDFs. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Just give me a second. Get you a PDF of something. Let me get this one. All right. This is good. Salary guide for 2021. I got this from Robert Half Technology. Yeah. So you hit print, and then you have this option right here. So now you have print on both sides. So you might have to literally go into your settings, because I'm trying to open it and show you. Printer properties. And you might have to enable duplex printing, because if you don't do that, they cannot print on both sides. They're trying to save money. So you print on both sides. Common issues with PDF printing is you can't print. The file might be too many pages. You may have to go into properties right over here, change some settings here to get it to work. Reset it maybe. Another thing you may encounter is it doesn't want to print at all. So the file, you try to print, it gets stuck. You try to print, it gets stuck. This has happened to me. I'm just being honest with you. You try to print, it gets stuck. So if you do print as image, you hit OK and you print, it's going to work. That's going to fix the PDF issue. So if someone's trying to print a big document and it's not working for some reason, you do print as image. Just for that one document only. Everything else should work fine. Like they're printing a bunch of stuff and it works fine, and this specific document is not working. Do print as image. It's going to work. Trust me, it's going to work. That fixes it most of the time. So, and then you have your tray right here. You have your size. Just make sure it's the appropriate size. Make sure that print both sides is enabled on the printer. You're going to have like, oh, I cannot print both sides, Kevin. Why can't I print both sides? You're missing the driver for it. So if you don't have the driver for your printer, it cannot print both sides. You could try as much as you want. It's not going to work. So make sure you have the appropriate drivers and make sure it's set up to print on both sides. And And then other things you could do besides this, like to help you troubleshoot, you go to the start menu, and if you go into print management, you should have it. You run this as administrator as well, and you could delete the drivers here. So you could literally right click here, and you could do remove driver or remove driver package. You could delete it. You could even add a printer here. If you want to add a printer, you could add it from here as well. So sometimes what happens is it's blocked for the user, so you get access denied. Access denied printer add. So you get like this. Windows cannot connect to the printer, or access denied. You're trying to add a printer, you can't add it. It just doesn't work. Windows cannot connect to that printer, or you get access denied. You get access. It's because that printer, for security reasons, is blocked for that user or that person because they're probably from a different department and they cannot print at all because they don't have access to it because it's blocked by default for them. Or sometimes what happens is they might need access for temporarily, or they might need access to the printer now, and they want to have access to that printer, and you get approval obviously because you're printing important things. You get approval obviously, and then you add the printer. So you run as admin, and then you add it right over here, and you could delete the drivers from here as well. So you do print management, you run it this way. So, and that's basically it. That's a little bit of everything for printers for software. I have to cover software because I have not done a video on software before, and I had to cover that. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. As always, rate, comment, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great Sunday. All right. Take care. Peace. Later. Bye.